Hey, deserving listeners, season 2, Love is Blind, finally out. Let's watch.
I work in real estate.
Do you sell a lot? Because I feel like you have to be somewhat attracted to sell a lot.
I think there's a lot of shallow people in this world. Is that a normal question to ask people?
I have a huge Instagram following. Obviously, I have like a lot of friends. Like, it's crazy. And I think I'm really...
Okay, so she's saying, I have a huge Instagram following. Obviously, I have a lot of friends. Like, it's crazy. Okay. Did they edit that weird? Well, I can't imagine how, unless she was quoting someone else. But, well, I mean, if it's a fact and she has a lot of friends and she has a huge Instagram following or above average Instagram following, then I guess maybe she's just stating facts. But, you know, it's not typical that people will brag about that sort of thing. So notable. Again, we'll keep track.
I have a huge Instagram following. Obviously, I have like a lot of friends. Like, it's crazy. And I think I'm really good at these pods because like with my job, I have like 5 to like 20 people in my car like at a time.
I still don't understand what she's saying. I'm really good in these pods because in my car, wait, I'm trying to understand.
Like, it's crazy. And I think I'm really good at these pods because like with my job, I have like 5 to like 20 people in my car like at a time.
Do y'all understand what she's saying? I'm really good in these pods because at my work or in my car, I have 5 and 20s in my car at a time? What does that mean? Is something going over my head? It must be.
Like, it's crazy. And I think I'm really good at these pods because like with my job, I have like 5 to like 20 people in my car like at a time.
I'm going to turn on the subtitles because I feel like I'm not picking up. I'm really curious what she's saying here.
Like, it's crazy. And I think I'm really good at these pods because like with my job, I have like 5 to like 20 people in my car.
I have like 5 to like 20 people in my car like at a time. You're really good in these pods because I have like 5. Oh, is she saying I have so many friends and so when I'm in a car, how do you fit 20 people in a car? But I mean, even a large van. But anyway, so she's bragging more about having lots of people in her life, and so she's good in the pods because, I mean, you're isolated in the pod, but I guess when you retreat to the other area, there are, from what I understand, 14 other women. So I don't understand what she's talking about. Maybe we'll find out more.
Me too.
I'm going after you. That's what I'm telling you.
I'm going after you. Well, I really like one guy. I'm kind of nervous that he's gonna get vibes from the other guys because the other guys, I think a lot of the other guys like me.
Okay, so we're building a grouping of behaviors for Trisha that are all kind of in the same bucket of grandiosity, superiority, I'm special, I'm better, look at me, and I like to signal a lot to other people that I'm interesting or special. I mean, superior is one way, but I guess there she just is signaling a superiority aspect, which is, I think a lot of the guys like me right there. And again, even if that were true, because maybe there's been a lot of the guys are like, you're my favorite. But the fact that you would say something like that to one of your comrades is notable.
A lot of them like me. I don't know. I have a lot of friends. Some are in serious relationships. Some are seeing multiple people.
Now, I don't know, but when people talk very frequently about certain things that make them look better, you have to start wondering how inferior they feel. Because if you have a lot of friends, you might like that, but it's not going to be something you're going to say often, right? But if you say it often, and she said this now twice, and maybe she said it other times, and they just, they're editing it, but I have a lot of friends, and it's not really relevant, right? Because if someone was saying like, well, I have 3 friends, and how many friends, she seems to introduce these details that don't have anything to do with what's happening. So because what she's trying to say is, I have friends in relationships and I have friends not in relationships. But that phrase, I have a lot of friends, it's notable.
It's really hard for me to really understand why a girl like me doesn't have a boyfriend or a hookup or even someone I'm talking to. Scale of 1 to 10, I'm a catch.
We are hearing the 2 sides of the coin right there, I think, which is, look how special I am. A scale from 1 to 10, I'm a catch. I don't understand, I'm amazing. I don't understand but then the other side of the coin, we're hearing, she's signaling that she has sadness about not having a companion or even someone to hook up with, she's saying. And so it's that sadness, that pain. And so they're both sides of the same coin. It's, either side of the same coin. I'm in pain. No one likes me. I have so many friends. I'm a 10.
I like Nick a lot, but there's another girl that's really interested in him. Is it Holly or Molly? Is the girl's name Holly or Molly?
Danielle.
No, I think it's Holly. Yeah, it's Holly. Or Dolly or Molly.
Again, I don't know, but when you, what do I say about this? When you are really self-focused, you can sometimes be so self-focused that you don't even really internalize that other people have personalities or selves. The other people don't have like a self. And so the names don't really register for you. You don't remember people that have these kinds of coin, if you will, of there's something deeply wrong with me, but I must always signal that I'm superior. They're so wrapped up in that, and they're so self-centered that they don't remember names. Research actually indicates this. It's harder for them to remember names because they're not really paying attention. They're more concerned about how they're coming across to other people. And sometimes they will even feel, because it's emotional, that they know your name, and they'll just change your name. And then when you say, well, that's not my name, they'll be like, well, I'm going to call you that for now. Think of John Raffio on Parks and Rec. I'm going to call you, Jello Shot for bet. Anyway, if you watch that show, there's a self-centeredness to that, right? It's like well, I kind of feel like your name is Holly, so I'm just going to call it, because you can't comprehend that other people have feelings. You have empathy, but it's impaired by the fact that you're so absorbed and overwhelmed with your need to prop up a superior veil so that you can protect yourself from what you believe the reality that you're worthless.
And she said that Nick told her that she's his number 1, but she's also tied with another number 1. Pretty sure that other number 1 is me.
Wow. I mean, the data just keeps coming in. Now, I can't diagnose from afar. And, often when I watch these shows, the cast members will reach out to me. Love is Blind cast member, when I watched this 2 years ago, my YouTube channel was small, and it never occurred to me that any of these people would have seen my stupid little videos. A lot of the cast members of Love is Blind first season had reached out to me or had indicated to other people that they were watching. And so, what's her name? Trisha. I'm keeping notes. Trisha, if you're out there, I'm not diagnosing you. I have no idea who you are, but this is a psychology YouTube channel, so I'm trying to educate, and I can't know anything about Trisha, but I can know that for people that have these kinds of behaviors, we do have a way of conceptualizing it, or we do have an hypothesis that we will follow as we do our interviews. When I diagnose people with particularly a personality disorder, I'll work with them for a couple months before I even feel slightly confident in my ability to have a provisional personality disorder diagnosis. That's just how I operate, because I have the luxury of doing that as a therapist. Typically I'll see people for years, and so I have time to kind of luxuriate with the data because it takes a long time. Anyway, so I'm not saying anything about Trisha, but we're seeing a lot of data in one area.
And I felt a little relieved because I don't think she's that much of a competition compared to me.
Again, it's not uncommon to have some of those thoughts, but to say it on television, I mean, you're either trying to be hated or you just are that way, which is interesting, right? And again, it's obvious that when people do that in the real world, you know, reality TV, we can't know because people know they're being filmed. They might be trying to bolster their online presence or something. So it's really hard to, you know, glean personality details from these shows. But in real life, when someone is constantly bragging and putting other people down, it's an indication of a deep, deep insecurity. When you are treated worthless, when you're treated like you're nothing, and sometimes it's abusive, but sometimes it's just like mild, ongoing neglect emotionally. Like if the parents are working a lot or they're depressed or something, or the parents are suffering from a medical problem, the child is signaling like, love me, and then they're like, oh, no one loves me. I must be worthless. I must be a bad person. That's why no one's paying attention to me. One of the defenses available to us in that situation is, well, I'm just going to compensate for the notion that I'm worthless by constantly trying to convince myself that I'm superior, that I'm not only average, because to be average means, well, maybe I'm inferior. I have to overcompensate by making sure I convince myself that I'm superior, and I have to signal to everyone so that everyone understands that, because I kind of define myself through the way other people see me, and because I don't have anything internally to rely on. So I have to convince other people that I'm superior so that they will think I'm superior and treat me superior, so that I will think I'm superior, so that I can distract myself from the fact that I feel completely worthless.
What do you mean she's not competition? He don't get to see you.
I think he knows. I think he can tell. I just started talking shit about everybody else. I probably shouldn't do that, right? It's probably wrong. Everyone think.
Another aspect of this kind of abuse or this kind of neglect growing up is you retain undifferentiation, you retain fusion, you retain this diminished ability to mentalize, meaning this ability to really put yourself in someone else's mind. A way that we test for this, children, is you are in a room with someone, the child is in a room with an adult, and you put a ball in a bag or something, in a box. And you have two boxes, okay? You put a ball in one of the boxes. And then the adult leaves the room, and then there's another adult there who says, okay, put the ball in the other box. And so the child takes the ball out, puts it in the other box, closes it up, and puts the boxes back. And then the adult comes in, and then the other adult says, where do you think the other person thinks the ball is? Am I explaining this right? I'm explaining this really poorly, but before mentalization kicks in for the child, they will assume that the person will think the ball is in the right place, because the child doesn't have the ability to put themselves in the other person's mind. Because and then past a certain age, and kids will develop it at different ages, you know, there's a few months of span or maybe 6 to 12 months span of time where kids are developing this in a normal development, but anyway, typical development. And so once the kid develops that early ability to mentalize, they will say, oh, well, they left the room and didn't see me change the ball to the other box. Therefore, they must think the ball is still in the other box. So even though I know it's in this box, they will, because of they're putting everything together. They're essentially able to read other people's minds. It's not actual reading, but they're able to take a very good guess as to what is going on in someone else's mind. Of course, this is a very important skill for us humans, because we are social creatures. A lot of what we do is mentalizing. We're trying to put ourselves in other people's shoes. But, you know, because if we're going to have good relationships, if we're going to have relationships that are mutually satisfying, each person has to dedicate some of their time and energy to guessing how the other person is going to react to things, how they feel about things, while also paying attention to yourself. Now, if you are neglected or abused or something goes wrong mistreatment-wise as a young person, sometimes you will fail to develop that skill of mentalization. And then you actually, as an adult, even though you're walking around at a job and you're paying your bills, you actually have a really hard time putting yourself in other people's shoes. You just don't understand. So and it's not a choice, obviously, that you make. Now, it is something you can develop in therapy. It takes longer because it's harder to teach an old dog new tricks, as they say. It's much easier if you learn it during the critical periods of development where the brain is more open to that kind of learning. But you can learn it as an adult. It takes some time. But if, as an adult, you don't have that capacity as robustly as other people do, then you actually will have a hard time understanding situations. For example, you're in a room and the other people can't see you. But because you have a hard time mentalizing and putting yourself in other people's minds, you just assume that they can see you because you can see you. Am I making sense?
Hi.
Hey, this is Nick. Who's this?
It's Trisha.
Hey, Trisha.
Why, you guys are all so excited to talk to me.
Wow, I mean, the data just keeps coming in. The other hypothesis that I'll throw out there is that when someone is targeted with abuse, sexual exploitation as a child or as a teen or even as a young adult, and you go through that trauma, there are various different ways that humans will cope with that in lieu of therapy and, healthy support, which is often the case because we're often isolated, we're kept away from support, or we're ashamed because of society and the way we're being treated by the abuser. Well, one of the ways that people will cope is they will buy into the idea that there's something about them that makes them an easy target. Like, well, there must be something about the way I look or the way I dress or the way I talk. That's how come my sister isn't being abused, but I am? Well, I must be doing something. And if you make that conclusion, which is not true, it's victim blaming on the inside, it's internalized victim blaming. But then one of the ways you can cope with that is to say, well, I wonder if that's my worth. I wonder if that's actually why I'm on this planet, is to attract men, boys. If you're a heterosexual girl and you're being abused by a male, you might start to believe, oh, this is my purpose in life. And I've seen this across all genders, by the way. And you end up really buying into that identity of, well, this is why I'm on the planet. And this is what gives me some self-esteem, because if this wasn't happening, maybe there was no attention. I have no idea about Trisha. I'm not. I always use these shows as a jumping off point, and then y'all can think about your lives or the people around you, and obviously go to therapy. And I know some of you are therapists, and so some of this talk is relevant to your clients. But anyway, so I'll just throw that out there as an hypothesis.
I'm not trying to sound conceited, but it sounds like all you guys are going after me.
Again, I just can't. I don't want to sound conceited, but it seems like all you guys are going after me. I mean, wow.
Tell them I said that.
No, I'm not going to say a word.
Yeah.
Whatever you say in these pods, it is safe with me. I'm a locked box.
Okay, cool. What do you do on the weekends?
It depends. I usually hang out with my friends on Saturday. I like to do yoga.
I would love somebody who would work out with me. So it's kind of funny. I have a lot of Instagram followers.
Here it is again. I have a lot of Instagram followers. Now, so if she's being sincere and not playing it up for the cameras, and she isn't trying to be the heel of this season, if this is genuine, this is notable. There are sometimes on these shows that y'all will want me to watch, and that I watch actually and enjoy them. I will have very little to go off of. And, I'm never diagnosing, I'm never having strong hypotheses, but there's a lot of data here about Trisha and bragging. I don't think anyone would watch this and disagree with the statement that Trisha brags.
That see how hard I hit the gym. I think sometimes like girls or people get a little intimidated by how much I work out, that they might not be able to keep up. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Another hypothesis that I'll throw out there is that if you're bullied or treated horribly as a teen or a younger person because you're ugly, you're treated, oh, you're an ugly person, we don't want to be with you, and you don't have secure attachments with your family at home, then you might adopt this idea of like, oh, I see. In order to have power, in order to be accepted, I'm being rejected. No one likes me. My family doesn't like me. No one at school likes me. How do I get security? How do I get people to like me and pay attention to me and make me feel like I'm worth it? Well, I'm seeing what seems to cause people to respond, and it's looking a certain way and acting a certain way and having certain things like Instagram followers. Well, maybe if I focus on that and really try to capitalize on that and obsessed with that, maybe finally I'll be acceptable. It's another hypothesis in terms of bullying trauma, rejection trauma, resulting in someone trying to compensate by that by just being obsessed with the superficial nature of acceptance. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.